If you're shooting documentaries, chances are the majority of the footage that you're getting is going to be handheld. And getting good handheld footage can be challenging. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about 6 simple steps to get you better handheld footage. As a verite cinematographer, the vast majority of the footage that I shoot is handheld. And that even includes the B-roll and insert shots that I get, because oftentimes I just don't have the time or the ability to even get to my tripod for those shots. And so being able to shoot good handheld is vitally important, especially in documentaries. And so these 6 tips that I'm going to walk you through are things that I've learned and practiced over many years of working. And I believe that if you're able to get these down, your handheld footage is going to be a lot better. Step 1 is maintaining 3 points of contact of the camera to your body. Because just like a tripod, those 3 points of contact are going to keep the camera a lot stabler and a lot more steady as you try to operate those shots. The first point of contact I think is going to be pretty obvious, and that is your shoulder. So point 1 is on your shoulder. Point 2 and 3 are probably going to be your right and left hands. And just with these, I'm able to hold a very steady shot. Now, if you happen to have an EVF like I have here, you now have a 4th point of contact. And so when you really get the camera on your shoulder and braced and your eye and head against that with your hands on the camera, it's incredible how smooth of a shot you can get out of that. You can see the movement in that is very steady. And when I come back, I am able to hold a very steady shot. And so 3 points of contact is an important one to be able to get good handheld footage. Step 2 is make your camera heavier. Now, this might sound counterintuitive because you'd think that a lighter weight camera would allow you to shoot longer. But when you make your camera heavier, and especially pairing it in conjunction with 3 points of contact that we just talked about, is that camera is going to be a lot more steady because the weight of the camera is going to absorb any of the small bumps and movement that you might get while you're operating. Step 3 is properly balancing your camera. Once you've got the 3 points of contact with a heavier camera, you're going to want to make sure that the balance of that camera on your shoulder is sitting in a place where it's not forcing your forearms to do a lot of the work if it's front heavy, or needing you to pull it forward if you're back heavy. But you also want to make sure that it's balanced from side to side. So what I like to do is on my camera, I have this adjustable dovetail, and I'm able to slide the camera forward and back. And so when it's on my shoulder, I am then able to really find a spot where the balance of that is both front and back adjusted, so that as it sits there, it just finds a nice level position. Because if the camera's out of balance, it doesn't matter if it's heavy to take out some of the bumps. It doesn't matter if you've got 3 points of contact. But if the camera is fighting against you, if it's front heavy and you feel like your hands are starting to shake to be able to support the weight, or the camera is really back heavy and you're constantly needing to pull that forward because the weight is working against you. The same applies for if the camera is off balance where it wants to tip to one side or it wants to tip to the other. And so you're constantly needing to fight that to be able to keep a steady horizon. These are all things that are really going to inhibit your ability to get good handheld footage. Step 4 is some form of support. And for me, I find the Cine saddle is the best option for this. You can certainly look at other options like an easy rig or even just a waist belt. But anything that can give you something to brace yourself into, take a little bit of the weight off, and allow you to have smoother operation. Step 5 is keep the camera moving. A great way to hide some of the jitters that you get in handheld footage is, instead of trying to just lock and hold a static shot for an extended period of time, especially if you're filming 2 people talking, you're filming an OTF interview, something like that. Something that I found to be not only incredibly helpful in keeping those shots smooth, but also giving you a little bit of an edge in the style of how that is shot, is I like to, instead of just trying to static and hold, what I can do is just give it a little bit of wrap. And so any movement that you're going to see in your handheld shots will actually be disguised and in some ways improved by just giving it a little bit of a float. Step 6 is count to 10 in your head. Early in my career, I found myself, I guess, getting excited, because what I would do is as soon as I hit record, I would then start to do the move of a shot, and I would get it and I would hold, and as soon as I feel like I got it, then I would cut. And ultimately what would end up happening is watching the footage back and handing it over to an editor is I oftentimes didn't give the editor enough of a head or a tail on that shot. You know, and that can sometimes be some discouraging feedback that you get from your clients when they're trying to work with your footage. And so what I find myself now doing is I just count to 10 in my head. And it's something that I do all the time just out of habit now. And when I'm counting to 10 is I will start to find my shot. And I know that I'm going to want to do a move. And so as soon as I have it set, I'm just going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 before I start to do my move. And then that gives the editor enough to work with. And then when I'm done, I'll just continue to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so that way, I will cut. And so that way, the editor has plenty to work with at both the beginning and the end of a shot, so you can make sure that everything that you're shooting has a chance of making it in. I hope these 6 tips were helpful for you as you're trying to figure out how to get better, smoother handheld footage. One thing I will say is that everything when it comes to handheld really just comes down to practice. You have to do it over and over again and just get comfortable with the movement, finding ways that you can be comfortable with that camera on your shoulder while trying to do a move or stay perfectly still. You know, all of these are just things that are going to come with a lot of time and a lot of practice. But I hope that these 6 steps will put you on the right track to getting better handheld footage faster. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you found it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.